You're listening to the Iterators of the Imperium.
Hi, I'm Mess, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Ryan, and you're listening to Season 4 of the Iterators of the Imperium podcast, the podcast in which Ryan is the expert on Warhammer 40k, and I am the noob trying to learn about the Warhammer universe. So Ryan, let's get into it.
All right.
Yeah, let's get into it.
I don't know why. I somehow wasn't prepared for that today.
It's early. Oh, actually, it isn't. Never mind.
No, it's like the middle of the day, and that's the problem.
It's fine.
Yeah. All right. So, I can't tell you what we're going to talk about today, right? Because we have to do the thing first, and that would be a hint. So, we'll get that out of the way nice and quick, right?
Yeah.
Bez, I need you to do some bullshitting before we get started properly today, right?
Yeah.
I need you to tell me what a sanguinary priest is.
All right.
All right, let's hear
Word
it.
of the day, or well, phrase of the day, like to sanguinian priest. Well, I'm thinking about sanguinary. I'm still thinking about Sanguinius, that he has a part to play in this episode.
Right.
It fits the name.
It did.
And it's a priest. So it's not a weapon or anything in that area. It's a title that is bestowed to somebody higher up in, in the area of... I don't know. It's a title bestowed to somebody close who was close to Sanguinius before he died. I don't know.
Is that what you're going with?
Yeah, I don't even know, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. We will get to that later on, but as you may have guessed from that, we are going to be talking about the Blood Angels today.
Yes.
Now, there's a thing with the Blood Angels, right?
They're disgusting rituals? I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that today, don't worry. Don't worry, we're going to get plenty of disgusting rituals today.
Yes, sir.
But the thing is, that the whole point of this season is we're supposed to be taking you from, like, end of the heresy times to modern day.
Yes.
And there's a lot of stuff carries over through that with a bunch of the legions. Like, Ahriman obviously comes up a lot in the modern day with the Thousand Sons. What else? Like the Black Templars that followed on from Sigismund. They are around a lot in the modern day. But there isn't, like, a backstory you need to know specifically for the Blood Angels that you don't already know to the modern day. There's no, like, characters that carry over too much. In a specific manner anyway, right?
Yeah.
The main things that we need to talk about are the Black Rage, which we've mentioned a couple of times, because that obviously only started after Sanguinius died. So that only came in right at the end of the siege, right? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is the Successor Chapters from the Blood Angels, because the Successor Chapters are around a lot in the modern day as well. So that's the kind of stuff we're going to focus on today.
Okay.
I do have a little thought experiment I want to do with you first, right? This came to me earlier while I was talking with my missus, and I want to run it by you just as a curiosity, right? Say, for example, you were a citizen, just a normal, like, civilian in Warhammer 40k, just on some random planet, right?
Yeah.
And your planet was going to be attacked, right?
Yeah.
Which of the legions, or I suppose chapters thereof, would you want defending you if your planet was going to be attacked?
Well, that's a tough one.
Because I can give you some backstory here as to how I came to this question, right? Because so what we're talking about, right, is I went through the names of some of the Blood Angel Successor chapters, and as I was looking through them and kind of making my notes and stuff, I was like, these dudes do not sound like the good guys, right? These do not sound like heroes. They sound like the villains, because their names are not, like, they don't inspire confidence in them, right?
Are you talking about the Blood Angels right now?
Yeah, specifically Blood Angels, right? All their Successor chapters have really murdery names. Yeah, they don't sound like the good guys.
But they are, which is
but they
unless
are.
you know with the Black Rage. But
Yeah.
I mean,
so-
I wouldn't mind it as long as, I live, I guess.
Yeah.
I was
So-
thinking about just get free range to the 1,000 Suns, right? Just give them free range to like actually use magic and psychic stuff. Then that would be pretty overpowered, but that turn traitors later on. But
Yeah, if we're taking the traitors into account, like, but back in the day when they were loyalists, Thousand Suns I think are the best call. Yeah,
that's why I wanted them like just give them free reign on the powers.
yeah. But if we're talking modern day, like chapters and everything, and traitors included, I think it's Ultramarines that have to pick. I'm like, look, they're nothing special, but they'll get the job done, and I have the best chance of survival. But like,
Yeah.
Like, if you've got, like, the flesh terrors defending you, there's a 50-50 shot that they kill all the enemies, then turn around and kill you too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's a good chance that, like, they would use you as a weapon to beat the enemy to death with.
There's a good chance of if there's, like, no weapons around, they'll just pick me up and start using me as a bet.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah. So, like... It was this kind of thought process that me and my girlfriend were talking about, because she was adamant that you'd want someone like the Flesh Tearers or the Blood Angels defending you, because if you want like some heroic defenders descending from the sky in drop pods, you want them to be the most vicious, ferocious defenders you can find. And I'm like, no, I want like the Imperial Fists, because they'll build a castle around me to keep me safe and then start fighting, right?
That's a good point, actually. That's a good point. Yeah, I think I'll take that, because like you say, I don't want anybody who, gets the job done and then turns around and look at me like, no job.
You look like you taste good. I'm hungry after all that defending. Come here.
We feast tonight, yeah? Nope.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
I'll just skip that. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought that was a fun thought experiment to put to you
That's a good
before
question,
we
though.
get into this.
Like, actually, I want to expand on that for the viewers right now, or the listeners / viewers, right? Because you can actually see us in the studio, both on Spotify and on YouTube. Little plug there. Put it in the comments. Who would you want to defend you if you were the random civilian on a random planet? Let us know.
I just want to throw it out there. You just plugged our podcast on our podcast.
Ayo. I broke the fourth wall. I think it's a good question, though, for the listeners.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a good bit of discussion going there. Because if you go outside of Space Marine chapters or legions or anything like that, it then comes down to an argument of like, well, who is attacking you decides who is best to defend you, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're like, if I'm being attacked by, I don't know, Tyranids, I mean, I don't want guardsmen defending me, because that's just lunch for them. That's an appetizer before they get to the civilians. You know? Stuff like that. It becomes a wider question if you go past the point of like limiting it to Space Marines and chapters and legions and stuff.
Yeah. So the question for the listeners is like generally, like all situations considered, who would you want to, we're not talking about odds from the Tyranids or the Oryx attacking or whoever it is, just randomly. Who would you want to protect you?
An army of custodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's getting past them.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, the Sororitas, that'd be the coolest
except
ones.
For, you know what, I would like to have like a right-hand man, Sly Marble.
Just have him alone standing in the middle of like a blood-soaked battlefield holding nothing but like his own shoe, surrounded by the corpses of his enemies.
Like everybody else would die, but I would survive. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
he would protect me.
If you're his mission, he will protect you.
Yeah, and I will be.
Oh god. Right. Okay. Let's get into it.
Yes, sir.
So to start, the Black Rage obviously only kicks off after Sanguinius dies. That's when his kids start suffering, right? And as we've mentioned in the past, because we have talked about the Black Rage a few times, but it's this kind of curse that the Blood Angels have, where basically they lose their minds and believe that they are Sanguinius in his like blood rage on his way to kill Horus during the siege, right? Yeah. but it's like full-on hallucinations. Like, they see one of their brothers, and they think it's a traitor Marine that Sanguinius actually saw during the heresy.
Yeah, they're just feral, essentially.
Yeah, as far as anyone outside is concerned, they are just feral, eating and murdering, right?
Yeah.
But to them individually, they are actually seeing what Sanguinius saw, right?
Yeah.
So there is truth in what they see. They are seeing things that literally happened 10,000 years ago to Sanguinius. So there's probably some warp nonsense involved. It is probably more of a curse than like a genetic issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is where your like sanguinary priest and your chaplains come in. Yeah.
Okay, you just mentioned it. Okay.
Oh yeah. So
okay, yeah, go on.
It's not what you think it is.
I'll confirm or deny. All right.
Yeah. So the sanguinary priests and chaplains are both involved with the Black Rage and the Red Thirst, but it's two separate roles, but they both share a responsibility with those two curses that the Legion has. So your chaplains are responsible for like the moral well-being of all the chapters and legions and stuff, right? They're essentially like a counselor for them, a guide for them. They hold the legion or the chapter's beliefs and hold the legion to those beliefs, right? That's the idea. But it's also their job to like look after each individual troop so that they don't fall to the Black Rage, right?
Yeah.
Whereas your sanguinary priests are both the Legion's apothecaries, so, you know, they take care of all the medical work, and they look after, like, the new recruits, and they handle the gene seed, and they also look out for signs of the Red Thirst in the Legion. So, for the record, sanguinary priest, just the term for a medic in this Legion.
Okay, so essentially, yeah.
Yeah, they're just medics, man. That's all they are. Yeah, they're just apothecaries. There's just a weird name for them.
I think I was close then in my bullshittery segment.
No, it's not like an earned title. You just become a medic. That's all. I'm gonna say I'm not giving you the star on this one, man.
I'm not even getting a half star. Give me like a 20% star. Just give me the tap, like a tap of a star. Just give me a triangle, right? Yeah.
So
I was right. I was right in the like it was like has to do with the Blood Angels. It was Sanguinius' guys, but that's about it. So obviously these two roles are different positions within the Legion. They serve different purposes, but because one of them looks after the Red Thirst and one of them looks out for the Black Rage, you find that both of them typically work together in their jobs because one typically leads to the other. The Red Thirst typically advances into the Rage. So they typically work together in this regard quite a lot and share this responsibility quite a lot. But also, interestingly, they're both, like, anyone in these roles is typically on this, like, overarching mission to find a cure for these curses. Yeah.
Which is quite fun, although a cure has not been found yet. Although there have been people who have, like, recovered from the Black Rage. Like, Chief Librarian Mephiston of the Blood Angels chapter in the modern day is someone who has fallen to the Black Rage. I believe multiple times, potentially. But he's came back from it. So there are normal Marines outside of him who have come back from the Black Rage, which is odd, and no one really knows how they do it or why sometimes they're able to and sometimes they're not. So it's an ongoing mission on the part of the chaplains and the sanguinary priest to find a cure. So there is one more responsibility of the chaplains, right? And it's a fun one. Also, I'm just going to go ahead and throw a picture of just a generic Blood Angel there for you, for background stuff.
Yeah. As usual, they look kind of badass. Not somebody I would mess with in real life, you know?
Oh, fuck no.
Or would I? Let me flex. Or would I?
Take him out.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's one more responsibility of the chaplains, right? Because, again, their duty is to stop Marines from falling to the Black Rage. But there is a ritual that they take part in, right?
Oh, gosh,
so before battle, the Space Marines of the Blood Angels will take part in this this ritual where they are blessed by their chaplain, and they all perform this chant, right? Called the Mori Patras.
The Mori Patras.
Mori Patras, right?
Okay, yeah.
And while they chant, the chaplains like walk along them, inspecting them for signs of the Black Rage.
Yeah.
And any Marines who fall to the Black Rage during this chant are taken away, and their armor is repainted to black. Yeah. Right? Okay. And they make up what is called the Death Company, and it is the chaplain's duty to lead the Death Company into battle, right? So what will then happen is that those Marines that felt the Black Rage during this ritual will be led into battle in their feral state by their chaplain. So they'll be sent in as like a strike team, just like drop podded straight onto the enemy stronghold, and they all just burst out. So you've got one sane guy, the chaplain, running around with a bolter and a Crozius, just beating people to death and gunning enemies down, while there's like 6 or 7 feral blood angels in black armor just running around tearing people's arms off and stuff.
Havoc.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
That must be fun.
Yeah, fun times, yeah. But this is like the darkest duty given to anyone in the Blood Angels, is leading this squad of your feral, insane brothers into battle.
Yeah, actually, that must be horrendous.
Yeah.
Just spectate. Like these were once sane, brothers.
Like yesterday, this was just John.
Yeah, this was John, and now he's just a ground.
Now he thinks he's sanguineous.
He got rabies, like or some shit. He's just going feral, like.
Yeah. So yeah, that is a thing that sometimes happens with the Blood Angels, where they'll use death companies of just like Black Rage fueled Space Marines to go wreak havoc on their enemies.
Yeah, I could imagine like for them it's very horrendous, but it's also very effective though.
It's very effective, yeah. That's basically the gist of it. Is it's like one last way to serve. And it's like, it would be a waste of an incredibly potent weapon of war otherwise.
Yeah, but do they get executed afterwards?
I don't believe as a rule they do. I think sometimes, like, if only like 2 survive, it's not enough to form another death company. So I think in some situations they'll be like, we'll just bolter them. But I don't think that as a rule they have to be executed. I think that just depending on the circumstances, you may or may not decide to. I think it's kind of at the chaplain's discretion or a leadership's discretion. If they're like, all right, we did the job. We're not going to need them anytime soon. We're not just keeping them chained up in the basement. Just get rid of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like 6 guys that we could just make new recruits out of. So someone blow their heads off and we can get their gene seed back. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if they're like, this is going to be a really long, like, crusade campaign, we'll keep them on hand just in case we need to launch them at the enemy again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were doing it for, like, a one-off battle, you'd probably just be like, only John survived. That new recruit's more valuable than having him tied up in the basement for 6 months.
Yeah.
You know? Especially because in that 6 months, he'll probably break free about 40 times and eat a bunch of people in the process, so... is he worth keeping around?
Priorities,
Yeah, like, you just gotta wait up at the time to decide if you're gonna blow his head off or not. Yeah. So, those things came out of the whole Black Rage turning up after Sanguinius died, right? But... And those obviously carry on to the modern day. I believe that in some chapters, the process of having, like, the death companies has kind of fallen by the wayside. It was kind of like a long-forgotten tradition for a lot of them. Like, I believe the Flesh Terrors in the modern day have kind of gotten rid of it as a concept. Like, it's not a common practice in a bunch of the chapters now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, these roles all still exist, and they all still like serve these purposes in the modern day. So that's kind of the only really like long-lasting changes that the Black Rage and the Red Thirst have brought on, is that these roles have came into existence to serve them. Obviously, Sanguinary Priests already existed because they had medics back in the Heresy, but they now look after the Red Thirst as well and stuff like that. So that's kind of the only part of that really matters moving forward. So I'm going to go on to talk about the Successor Chapters, right? And you're going to see what I mean with the names.
Okay.
Right? So going from the first founding, which was the Legions, into the second founding, which is when we first get chapters, right? There were 6 Blood Angels chapters made. So you got one keeps the name Blood Angels and keeps Baal as its home world and all that stuff. And then the other 5 were the Angels in Carmine, right? Which in Carmine it's like a Latin verb, which means to dye something red. So it probably means like covering something in blood in this case, right?
Yeah. You've
got the Angels Sanguine, which sanguine is literally Latin for blood or blood related. You've got the Angels Vermilion. Vermilion is the color of blood. You've got the Blood Drinkers, and you've got the Flesh Tearers. This is the point where I was like, I don't think these are the good guys.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
It sounds bloody.
Yeah. When your good guys are obsessed with blood, flesh tearing, and drinking blood, you start to wonder if you really want them on your side.
It kind of sounds like a 13-year-old girl in the Twilight Age, you know? Back then when there was... I'm sorry, I don't mean to cross-reference it like that.
They don't know nearly that much Latin.
I never know.
No, you never know, you're right.
But yeah.
But I know exactly what you mean.
It doesn't sound like the good guys, no.
No, it does not. But we're going to talk about each of them individually a little bit. Some of them, there's a bit more, like, backstory to explain than others. But there's really not a lot to go over, because a lot of their, like, origin stories are kind of buried in history, you know what I mean? But also, some of the chapters turn up more than others. So, like, the Flesh Tearers, there was a novel called Wrath of the Lost, I believe it is, which is just a Flesh Tearers novel, right?
Yeah.
But you don't really, I don't think you have, like, an Angels in Carmine novel. You know what I mean?
No.
So some of them are more explored than others, so, which naturally some of them have more story, like, backstory than others. So, we're going to start with Angels in Carmine. This is what they look like, right? Typical red armor, usual stuff. Got their shoulder plates carry the insignia of their chapter individually, right? And they all wear just this red armor, except for, interestingly, their death companies and Sanguinary Guard wear red. White. So this is what their honor colors are white for some reason rather than black.
They actually look kind of cool, you know.
They are quite cool. Also, imagine that splattered in blood.
No, thank you.
But that's the whole point, though, because remember, this guy's feral.
Yeah, but they look cool.
They do, but my point is, I think the only reason they're white is because they realized if they were black, when they were, like, the Death Company, if they wear black armor, it hides the blood, so it's less scary to the enemy. If it's white and their red is just dripping off of them, anyone who sees them will, like, crawl up their own ass in fear.
So it's like a white canvas. You could just like paint. This is like this enemy's blood. This is this enemy's blood.
Yeah, exactly.
Come to me, you know. Help me finish the painting.
Chaplain turns around. There's like 4 of them that are just like red head to toe, just dripping, and then there's one that's green. Like, the hell did you kill?
Wait, what? You killed an orc? What the hell?
So where did you even find an orc?
Well, there were orc spores from the last adventure.
Oh, there was one hiding under that car. All right. No bother, John. I love the idea of a blood angel called John.
Yeah, why did you call it John? Like,
I don't know. To be fair, Dante, their chapter master of like the Blood Angels chapter, his actual name is Lewis.
Lewis?
Lewis.
Bruh.
Right? They all get like a name, and then they get an angel name, which I don't know why. But then if they become a blood angel, they take on the angel name. So he was Lewis as a child, and then when he became a space marine, he started going by his, angel name, which is Dante.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, they all have like a normal name, and then once they become blood angels, they get like, this is I don't know, Asmodeus and Ethereal and shit like that. Like, I'm John. Oh, sorry, I mean Ethereal. Sorry, it's first day. Like, you know what I mean?
First day on the job. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so Angels in Carmine. So these dudes are led by a Castellan rather than like a chapter master. They have a special name for the title, Castellan. I believe the current day one is Castellan Zargo. And interestingly, these guys are always like low on numbers. Like they're never at full manpower because Castellan Zargo cannot sit still for 5 goddamn minutes. Like he cannot just enjoy peace for 5 minutes. He has to be constantly finding something to fight. So he just has them always starting a new crusade or a new war or a new campaign or something. So they're just always down on guys, so they're just constantly recruiting. All because their chapter master has like ADHD and can't sit still.
It's like me.
It's like all of us, Mez, let's be honest.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I have it though. I do have ADHD, but
Oh no, trust me, I'm right there with you. So the next one is the Angels Vermilion.
Let me get splut.
Yeah, red again.
Yeah.
So the
That's
Angels
a common theme here,
Oh yeah. The Angels Vermilion are like an isolationist chapter, so they take the view that like the Red Thirst and the Black Rage are like a curse that they have to bear alone. So all the other Blood Angels chapters tend to like keep in contact quite closely, whereas these guys are like, nope, we're on our own, leave us the fuck alone, go away. And they just don't want to talk to anyone.
Don't talk to me.
Yeah, they took like the stoic loner route for things.
That's kind of cool.
Again, usual red armor. And now we come to another one of the fun, crazy nutcase rituals.
Okay, lay it on me.
Every 50 years, the Angels Vermilion have this ritual that they do called the Sorrowing. And I'm going to give you in rough detail here. They bleed a ton of humans dry, bathe in their blood, sacrifice a sanguinary priest into it, mix the blood together, and put it in all their troops' armor so it feeds it to them while they're fighting, so that they don't like succumb to the thirst. It stops them going into the Black Rage because they're constantly being fed blood.
I just want to iterate your reader.
Ew.
I'm not saying anything. If the listeners could see my face right now, that's disgusting.
Yeah,
God
these are
damn.
fun guys.
Well, definition of fun is your definition of fun is kind of skewed, right? I'm not gonna lie.
I've been into Warhammer too long. Wait till season 7, you'll be like, ooh, blood ritual.
Oh god, yes.
We've come a long way since that Nurgle episode that had you almost vomiting.
Oh, that was actually disgusting though. Because
It
I have
was,
a very
yeah, that was
visual
grim.
mind. I still have though, but
Yeah,
It's
I
one
never
of
thought
these-
I'd be so lucky to have aphantasia. Oh, right, moving on rapidly. Which one's next? Angel Sanguine. These guys are cool. They have two-tone armor. Red on one side, black on the other.
that's kind of nice.
It's quite cool, isn't it? I like this armor, yeah. So apparently these guys were like originally the chapter was made up of like the Marines who best represented like the glory and faith that they felt towards Sanguinius. So basically these are the ones that like I don't know, I guess respected Sanguinius the most in the most zealous manner physically possible. This is the Blood Angels equivalent of the Black Templars, but rather than being zealous towards the Emperor, they were zealous towards Sanguinius. That's the gist. Yeah. So, fun thing, they never take off their masks in front of anyone that's, like, outside their chapter, and they will, if they are, like, even if it's, like, back at, like, their stronghold, their base, and it's only them walking around, they still have, like, hoods up and stuff so they can't see each other's faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if one of them falls to the Black Rage, they are captured, strapped to a big-ass tablet, and if they manage to recover from the rage, they get a special, like, cloak to wear to show that they overcame the rage.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Genuinely, yeah. They get, like, a fancy, like, cape to wear, if they or a shroud to wear, if they manage to overcome the rage after being strapped to a big-ass stone tablet for ages.
Why do I get the feeling it's like the first one that it happened to, right? It was like, I'm proud of myself, and people are like, wait, you want a medal? No, well, we can give
I
you
want
a
a cape. I feel like he's getting all like pissy about it. Someone just tears like a curtain off a wall and like ties it around him. Like, there you go, you got a cape. Fuck off. Get out of here, John.
John.
It's just I don't know. It's a stupid name, okay?
John Doe.
It's a stupid name for a Blood Angel to have anyway.
Yeah.
It's better than Lewis. Chapter Master Lewis. Really?
Really? Yeah.
Really? It doesn't really fit, does it?
Chapter
Moving
Master, Charlton. Oh yeah. Okay, go on.
Blood Drinkers. Typical red. They got gold highlights now. It's quite cool. Red and gold work quite well together.
But I gotta ask, why do they have wings on their shins? Like, why?
So, I think it shows up on one of the earlier ones. Yeah, so if you look at his shoulder plate, or even his ankle thing, it's the blood drop with the wings is a Blood Angels thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's their version of, like, incorporating the motif, I guess.
It's just like, it doesn't represent...
I know, it's just weird.
It's weird for the sake of being weird.
Basically, yeah, it's postmodern. So,
Art Deco.
These guys are quite fun, right? And not in the disgusting blood ritual way. They are just quite cool people. Because they got, like, red and gold armor and stuff, you know? They're, like, the friendly ones, I guess. Even though they're called the Blood Drinkers and they actually are vampires. Yeah. So, these dudes seem to have figured out, or as far as anyone outside of the Blood Drinkers is concerned, it looks like these guys have, like, sussed out how to handle the red thirst and stuff and the black rage and things like that, right? In reality, they have not at all, right? These guys have a mutation with their homophagia in their gene seed, and I don't think I've ever mentioned what the homophagia is.
No.
So, right, all Space Marines have this thing called an homophagia, or homophage, right? Which is it's one of the organs they get implanted to become a Space Marine. They can eat something and learn from it, right? So they can eat an enemy's brain and learn the enemy's battle plan that person got ordered.
Oh,
right?
And if it's like a fighter, they could learn their moves. It's like...
Yeah, stuff like that, yeah. It doesn't come up very often, but that's the basis of it. If you can gain information and stuff like that by eating stuff, right?
Great.
Yeah. These guys have a mutation in it as part of their gene seed so that they constantly thirst for blood.
Okay.
Right? So the red thirst is really bad for these guys. Much more so than any of the other chapters.
Yeah.
And everyone outside of them thinks that they've figured out how to handle the red thirst and the black rage and all that. In reality, they just use their desperate need for, like, to sate their thirst with blood to fuel them in battle. So they're just unbelievably vicious because they want to drink the blood of their enemies.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, in my research about these guys, because I had to, like, go back and refresh my memory about these guys a little bit, because a lot of the Blood Angels chapters sound very similar, but they all have unique things, so I was doing a bit of, like, cursory reminding, and I found a note that just said, as a side effect to their, like, gene seed mutation, this chapter also has really dry skin. And I don't know what that matters, but someone felt the need to make a note of it. And I'm like, first of all, who cares? Second of all, does that mean that the inside of their armor is just full of like skin flakes? Just absurdly dry, just constant dandruff.
And third, why?
Yeah, why? Why would thirsting for blood make your skin dry? Like 40k is weird, man.
It really is. Maybe it's like, they're dehydrated. They need to
Maybe,
drink
yeah.
blood. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that might actually be what it is. They might actually just genuinely be dehydrated all the time.
Yeah, or I'm just very good at bullshitting my way out of situations.
Possibly. You couldn't do that with a sanguinary priest, though.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah. Okay, so last one. The Flesh Tearers. They're also black and red, but, like, different. Rather than down the middle, it's, like, shoulders and backplate. And helmet, I guess. So, right, these guys, like I said, are one of the ones that are fleshed out a lot more than the others because they have, like, novels coming out in the modern day, so it fleshes them out a bit more. But typical red-black armor. They are known to be some of the most vicious warriors of the Blood Angels, because like the Blood Drinkers carry the red thirst stronger than anyone else, these guys have a much more difficult time with a black rage than anyone else does. So if you think of it as like, when things get really bad, other chapters will gradually get closer and closer to the Black Rage. These guys basically live on that knife edge of almost falling into the Black Rage at any given moment. So it's really common for these guys to just go into the rage and become feral. But because they're always very close to it, they also fight like they're almost feral all the time. And an almost feral Blood Angel is more dangerous than basically any other Space Marine in the galaxy. And this is an entire chapter of them always almost feral.
So they're just very, very powerful, but it's also a double-edged sword, essentially, right?
Absolutely, yes. They're just unbelievably vicious, but at any moment they could fall a little too far into it and turn on their own guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't have a great reputation among Space Marines, I'll be honest.
I could imagine.
Yeah. So these guys were actually founded by a guy called Nasir Amit, who was known to be an unbelievably vicious warrior, and he had this thing where he sat like right on the edge of the Black Rage all the time. So he got the nickname the Flesh Tearer back during like Heresy and Great Crusade times. So when it came time to do the whole thing and making the new chapters, he was put in charge of this one, and it was named after his nickname. So that's why they're the Flesh Tearers, because it was his nickname. Yeah. And interestingly, their home world that they founded on was Cretaceous, which is a big jungle planet with like loads of vicious animals and stuff all over it. And apparently, it's a death world because you will die if you go there. But apparently, the world was like so vicious and like just horrible to live on, difficult to live on, that Amit became like obsessed with it and was like, if I can physically overpower this planet, in the process, I'll gain control of my own rage. So he was just like furiously climbing giant mountains and stuff as like a form of meditation. Yeah, but he like got to a point where he was like so obsessed with the planet that he thought the planet was like a physical embodiment of his like him and his chapters, like I guess their mentality, their way of doing things, stuff like that. He thought it was like a physical embodiment of it because it was this like danger right on the knife edge of being too dangerous kind of thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it also, because they obviously do their training on this world, and they're recruited from this, like the tribes that live on this planet and stuff like that, those that become Flesh Tearers immediately going in are some of the most like vicious, dangerous people in the galaxy, and then they become that. You know what I mean? So you can see why, like, they're a really effective chapter, but you'd also be terrified to have them on your side.
Yeah, they might be a little bit too unstable to my liking.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. So that is all of the kind of the 5 chapters that came out of the Blood Angel at the start of it. And all of these come up in modern day lore. Flesh Terrors get a bit more than some of the other stuff like that. But I knew that there wasn't going to be a huge amount to talk about today, so I decided there was one more thing I wanted to tell you about, right? Mm-hmm. And I tried to mention this the other day, but I couldn't remember their name. Remember a couple episodes ago, we were talking about the cursed 21st founding, where they all just went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the Blood Angels 21st founding chapter.
Hey, all right.
Because I tried to mention to you about them just being depressed and horribly unlucky all the time, and I couldn't remember their name. I was blanking it so hard. But it's these guys. The Lamenters in bright yellow.
I'm not gonna lie, Ryan. They're kind of whack.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, so I wanted to explore this for you, because, again, this is like... All those ones we just mentioned are, like, in the 31st millennia they were founded, and these guys are, like, 36th. This is, like, right after or right around the Age of Apostasy, with Goj Vandire and all that bullshit going on. These guys turned up. So it is thought that the 21st founding went so horribly wrong because the guy that was in charge of it decided to try and, like, fuck with the gene seed to try and make them better, and just made them all horribly mutated and terrible. Okay?
Yep.
So, because of that, every chapter that came out of the 21st founding was immediately, like, shunned by every other Space Marine chapter. Because, well, they're all horrible. Right?
Yeah.
But, even with that, the Lamenters were considered a successful chapter of a failed founding. So, as an overall thing... Everything out of the 21st was bad. It was terrible. It all went wrong. But even out of that, these guys were considered to have been a real successful chapter. Right?
Yeah.
But they still got treated like shit because they were from the cursed 21st founding. So, that was an issue. So, they were shunned by all the other Space Marine chapters, or most of the other Space Marine chapters. Eventually, they decided, you know what? We're gonna, like, earn honor back by going on a crusade, right? We're gonna do, like, a penitence crusade that we've self-imposed. So they set out to do this, and then were almost immediately relocated by the High Lords of Terra. So they got dragged out of their own crusade almost immediately. So no honor was gained. So that's like the 86th bit of bad luck that's already happened to them right after they were made. They get relocated to the Eye of Terror because they're there to stop chaos incursions. A bunch of, like, fleet-based chapters, so chapters that didn't have, like, a home world, were just relocated to be near the Eye of Terror because chaos shit kept coming out. If we just put all the chapters that are, like, just live on a ship out over there, because they can do that, they can just stop them getting out. It's fine, we'll do that. So a bunch of them got sent out there to stop chaos incursions. And then during one of the Black Crusades, these guys were defending a world called Corellia, alongside a couple other chapters, one of which was the Mortifactors, right? And when the Chaos Marines started attacking the planet, which, by the way, was a very heavily populated planet, the Mortifactors just went, fuck this, we're not working with those guys. They're from the Cursed 21st. So they just abandoned them to fight on their own. But rather than retreating, the Lamenters were like, no, we're protecting these civilians. So they just fought on anyway, on their own. Right? Eventually, and I say eventually because it took a long fucking time, eventually the Ultramarines and they're called the White Scars got together, like, a relief force and sent them over to relieve the Lamenters, who were the only ones defending this goddamn planet now. When they got there, only 200 of these guys were left alive. Like, 800 troops had died defending this one planet. Yeah, so after they, like, repelled the Chaos forces and the Lamenters, like, left the planet to go, like, rearm and, like, rebuild and stuff, they were immediately swallowed by a warp storm. So when they were caught in the warp storm, they disappeared and were declared lost in the warp. They are not a lucky group.
It sounds like freaking, what is it called? The black sheep, you know.
Yeah.
Everything bad happens to them.
Yeah, a bit of that, yeah. So they were not a lucky group, but it just gets worse from there. Like, their story does continue on. They do come back, but it's all equally bad. It just keeps getting worse and worse for these guys, and they've done nothing to deserve it.
Nope.
Like, they're good guys. They honestly are, like, normal Space Marines that are just trying their best to do their fucking jobs, and everyone hates them for no reason. I like to think it's because their armor is yellow.
Do you think they're being, like, armor racist?
Well, no, I think they're just like, you know, you're Blood Angels, right? And they're like, yeah. Like, why the fuck are you wearing yellow?
Yeah.
The fuck are you doing, you morons? This is why you shouldn't have Chapter Master John.
Ah.
But yeah, so that's the Lamenters. These guys they're goddamn hilarious how unlucky they are.
They're lamenting their existence.
Yeah, basically, yeah, genuinely, that's the gist of it.
Yeah.
They're just depressed all the time and everything is terrible. I believe they actually do have, like, some genetic mutation. Like, everything that came out of the 21st Founding was, like, a mutated version of what it was supposed to be. There's a Space Marine chapter that came out of it that are, like, half frog.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they can, like, spit... Well, all Space Marines can spit acid, but, like, it's a big thing with these guys. I'm pretty sure they just constantly produce, like, acidic mucus inside their armor and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure these guys also have a mutation because they're from the Cursed 21st. But I think their mutation just makes them depressed. Like, I'm not kidding. I think that's genuinely their mutation. They're just sad all the time, and everyone hates them. And they've done nothing to deserve it.
Yeah, it could have been worse, though.
It could have been, but they get treated like it is for no reason. They get treated like the Frog Marines for no reason. Good times. So yeah, that's what it was. It was in the Imperial Fest. No, not Imperial Fest. It was in the Halloween episode. We talked about it because of the Legion of the Damned. They were also from this, the Firehawks. They also came out with the 21st Founding. That's when we were talking about these guys. I knew it. But yeah, Lamenters. Depressed Blood Angels. You get this. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's us for the Blood Angels, unless you've got anything you want to question or add.
No, I had some comical remarks, but it's gone. The moment is gone. It's fine.
I apologize.
No, it's fine. I were to compare them to, like, you know, your standard optimistic guy, you know, just walking down saying, I'm gonna try have a good day today, right? Like, enthusiastically, I'm actually gonna try have a good day. And then he gets shit on by a bird, like, he gets freaking drove over by a freaking bike, and then, like, near building sites, like, a can hits him in the head, you know, just like everything goes wrong, right?
Yeah, good times.
No.
It's never a good day to be a Lamenter.
No. But yeah. Well, do you want me to round us out for this episode, Ryan?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, we want to thank you for listening to this episode of Iterators of the Imperium Podcast Season 4. It's been me, Mess, and of course, Ryan, the main man iterator. And we will see you in the next one. Take care and peace.
Bye.